Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to another episode of Top Tier Talk. Chavez, early kickoff, coming back from 2-0 down against Everton. Take it away.
Yeah, I don't know what I said before the game. I can't remember if I predicted it correctly, but I did think that we'd lose because Everton, they're in good form. I believe their last game before this was Liverpool, right? And they got a result at
Yeah, the
Goodison
week.
Park. So it's their last time in that stadium. You had a feeling that they're just going to go on some run, especially with David Moyes in. And to be fair, the first half they were much better than us. They had more possession than us, which isn't even something I associate with Moyes. They looked better than us. We were quite poor. In the second half, we picked it up a bit. Bruno became a bit more of the focal point, and eventually we needed two moments of brilliance. I know we use that a lot with Oli, but that's what happened yesterday. It wasn't anything systematic, it wasn't anything to do with tactics. It was just purely two moments of brilliance. And yeah, nothing to make you happy about the future or say, actually, I saw something that might make me more positive for the next game. None of that. That's the reason why, even though some of our stats look like we've won quite a few of our last 9, 10 games, it doesn't feel like that because there's nothing to, even the biggest optimist like myself sometimes looks at these games and doesn't take anything away from them. Rasmus Højlund, always going to start with him now because I think he's the worst player to have ever put on a Man United shirt, or he's up there. If he carries on and if he's
Weghorst,
allowed.
Bebe,
No,
um,
he's 16 games without a
Anthony.
goal. He's
Huh?
16 games without a goal. And if you look at there's 200, and I believe 84 players in the Premier League, something like that, based on FotMob's average that they give out for their performances. Rasmus is in the top bottom five in average rating per game right now. He's played quite a lot of games. It's just, it's so sad. If I started watching football with this Man United team, I promise you, I wouldn't like the sport. And I said this, watching Højlund play makes me think, what is this sport? What are we watching here? Why is this fun? And when I sometimes tune into other teams, it's like, wow, it's an eye-opening thing to see a striker move around, make space, create chances. Ollie Watkins, Højlund makes Ollie Watkins look like something incredible, like a prime Cavani. Maybe he will be one day, who knows? But it's just shocking, man. Like, I can't deal with it. It's a chore. It's a duty to watch the games.
So, like, I feel like I say this every like, what would you do? Obviously, Xerxes as well, because obviously, as you said, they're not out and out strikers. They're both young. They're both trying to get experience, but it's like you're hooking one and bringing on another one. It's like, do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? They're not
We changed it up,
they're
Dan.
not bouncing
So
off each other.
because
You played
of
them both, didn't you?
because of Ahmad's injury now, Xerxes basically starting at right. It's right inside 10. He can't really play striker. He's much better, I think, in the 10. Much better being very okay. Like, it's not that good, but he's doing a
Average.
bit better in that 10 position. So he's playing there now. So that's why Højlund starts, or else he wouldn't start because Xerxes better than him. Cheeto came on and did okay. I think he had a couple of good touches. Maybe we'll give him another chance next game. Maybe it is Ipswich. So he was all right. And then, yeah, there was another sub, which now I can't remember, another kid that came on, I believe. But in general, it was just there's nothing. Patrick Dorgu looks okay, but this is the problem. He's not. Some players have come in and look so good, and then they are really poor after a few weeks, right? We know this with United. You get good players, and suddenly you think, "What's happened?" That's going to happen to Dorgu. He's not like unbelievable world class, is he? So in a few weeks, Patrick Dorgu, he'll be a scapegoat. I was just looking. Len Yoro, he came on, he was all right. When he comes off the bench, Yoro's okay. But as a centre back, that's not something you should be praised for. You need to be good starting. So hopefully he starts improving. Garnacho was probably the best player on the pitch in terms of the moment he came on, the game changed. So, but Garnacho's not scored for 19 games in a row as well. So
I
what
was
are the
going to say
standards
that.
here?
Like
The standards are below bottom floor.
19th games in a row.
Yep.
Jeez.
I was going to say that when you said like the
That's quite
That's so
comeback.
bad, isn't it? You say it like
that's so
casually, but
bad.
that's so shocking if you think of it.
It was oh, who was it? Oh, I can't remember I can't remember who it was. And it was like if you're, I think it might have been Doku. I think it was someone talking about Doku, and it was like if you're in a top six side, again United are 50, but you still are by the laws that are a top six side.
By Sky
Like
Sports' Big Six, yeah.
yeah, or like the amount of money that you spend in your squad, etc., etc. Like if you're getting three, four, five goal contributions a season, like you're not of the quality of where that team, quote unquote, should be. But no, I was just going to
Yeah.
touch on obviously, as you said, like there weren't any necessarily like managerial changes that changed the game. I think Garnacho maybe had something to do with that. I don't know. Maybe that was like he. I think he brought you further forward. I know he necessarily didn't have like major involvement in the goals, but I think he did give you a bit more
Yeah.
of an outlet like towards the end of the game.
Yeah, and it's annoying because Garnacho's like one of our only attackers, so why couldn't he have just started? It's another question. Why did Casemiro and Ugarte have to start in midfield when you've already got Dallo, who's a right back, a right wing back? How many defensive players do you need on a team which is so bad at scoring goals? So it's just a recurring theme right now. Our next game is like we have Ipswich at home. So if Hoyland can't score in that, which I just don't think he can, I think Liam Delap is on a completely different stratosphere to Hoyland. There's a much bigger chance of him scoring. I mean, he get that guy gets linked to us, so
But
it'll be good to see
the
how he
lap's got
does.
10 goals
But
compared to
yeah,
Hoyland's
it's
two.
over for Hoyland. I don't think he's.
How much would you take for Hoyland? If someone came
Yeah,
along
I mean,
now.
Hmm?
How
It's a
much would you
good
take for
question.
How
Hoyland?
much would I
It's a very
take?
good question.
Buy for a packet of crisps.
Oh, I don't think. I promise you, I don't think I don't know if you guys see, no one ever gets linked to Hoyland because no, I don't think any team would be willing to risk spending even a single million on him right now. He's the way he plays. I mean, I don't know if you guys have watched us play. If you actually watched Hoyland, it's really like you don't enjoy, like you genuinely takes away from the love from the game watching a player that bad in a team like United. So yeah, it's just it is what it is, man. Yeah, I know I'm focusing on one player, but I mean, what? There's nothing good to talk about in this game. The
Where,
penalty, we could talk about the
I was going
penalty
to say,
at the
where do
end
you
if you
stand
think
on
it
the
was a
penalty?
foul.
I do. Oh, I think he got it at first look in real time. I
Um,
thought he got it right, and I think again, and that was it. Ashley Young or someone mentioned the angles, and I think it was like if you pull your shirt out
hmm.
anyone's shirt in the box, you give the referee a decision to make. The referee's
Well, do you
made the
think it went
decision.
down to
Do you know what the problem
theoretical?
is? He dived the wrong way,
I
Dan.
think that's the problem.
Yeah,
But I also think
yeah.
the thing is with VAR that people forget all the time is
Yeah.
clear error, and it wasn't a shirt pull into foul. He's given the penalty, so
Hmm.
it's not like he's dived or it's not like he's. Do you know what I mean? And also one thing I don't know whether anyone caught it because I thought it was originally Maguire that tripped him up, not intentionally, but I think there was a tangle of legs as well as the shirt pull. So again,
No,
not enough to
but
free himself
what?
to the
El,
floor.
El's probably not seen it. I'll tell him. It's basically imagine I pull your shirt, El. Imagine
Is
I
that
pull
it?
your shirt. If you fall, you're gonna fall towards me, right? And
Well,
even if
yeah,
it's
because
the
your
yeah,
leg could be back.
Young fell the other way, so it looks so weird. I thought it was the wrong decision on the pitch, but obviously I'm not going to berate the ref for getting it wrong. It wasn't that easy. But the moment it goes to VAR, it's not a clear and obvious error to overturn. So I actually think they used VAR very incorrectly. Also, I think Michael Owen, the channel I was watching on, it was Michael Owen afterwards saying that
Oh, you.
they showed the wrong angles to the ref. They just showed him the one angle, which made it look like it wasn't a pen. They should
It
have
was the
shown
one behind
like
the
five,
goal.
six
It was the
angles,
one
and I
behind the
bet you the
goal that
ref, if he
looked.
stood his ground, yeah, he would have changed it. It's just the ref running to the screen thing is such a it's a bit of an act, isn't it? Because you
Yeah,
know what's going to happen. They're
it's
just
like
going to go and
suspense. It's trying to build
they're
like the
never going
entertainment
to
factor.
overturn. Yeah, they're never going to change it. Like sorry, they're not going to do something that the VAR isn't telling them.
I think I've only
So
seen that
yeah, it's just a
once,
strange old
and the
game.
referee went, "No, I've got it right," and kept it.
Mm,
And I think I've only ever seen that once in the 2, 3, 4 years that we've had it, like properly implemented with all the rules and stuff.
yeah,
So it's going from
yeah.
I suppose, a slightly
Dan, our
uplifting
next
note.
game is quite big. Just one thing. The next game's at home to Ipswich. I think if we win that game, we will survive.
You're safe.
Because we're on 30 points, I believe. I
Yeah, I think
still
it's
think
something
I'd
like
be comfortable with 33. My mark now is 32. I think 32
that. So
personally. I
a
think
win
we get
carries you
beyond
over
that.
that.
Shabez, don't we have you
Yeah,
next? No.
yeah. So we have Ipswich. So there's games tomorrow and Wednesday, and then the next Prem game, which isn't next weekend, it's the weekend after, is against you because there's FA Cup. But yeah, nothing to do with that. Oh, that during that game, I was having discussions with United fans. Some actually were saying that we'd be Amram out if the moment we start hitting bottom three. Because if we had lost to Everton there in the fashion that we were going, and we lose to Ipswich on Wednesday, then you have to start discussing: are we going to get another point this season?
Boy, you would have
And
Yeah.
like
then if
four
we
points
don't
off or
get
something,
another
wouldn't you?
point, yeah, we might actually get relegated. So that's what I was thinking. Because right now the squad's thin, right? If one more injury happens, like we're not in a position to get more players injured. So one last thing, Bruno Fernandes, I still think he's really disrespectful. I think if you guys, I don't know if you accept this, but if Bruno left our team and was in Man City,
I,
Liverpool, Arsenal, any of these teams, he'd be unreal. He's generally such a good player. His stats, GNA, everything for a team
I
that's
I
He's
so
good.
saw that.
depleted. And you
He's
saw
fine
how
to
many
losing
players
battle.
struggle. Yeah, how many players struggle in our team when it's shit? You can't blame them. It's a shit team. So we use the excuse. We say it's a shit team. They're playing bad. Bruno's excelled in this team. He's got double-digit goals and assists every season in each of those seasons. I think he's silly. From a Man United point, great. I would love to have him, but from his point of view, he should start thinking he's going to be 32 soon. Like he should. Does he want to win a Premier League? Because he can easily win it, man. Just go to the right team. He would start. I promise you. I apologize to him for saying Odegaard's better. Odegaard is not better than Bruno. Odegaard's in a very good system, which can get the best out of him. Bruno absolutely is not. He plays like four different positions a week, a game. So if Bruno was in a team like Arteta, any team, trust me, the way he adapts, he's actually a joke. And I think I will say it now, and I will never change this. He's world class, and he always was that whole time. And I feel bad for always putting him down as well, because I mean his numbers don't lie, and he's just in a team that
His hips
tries
lie.
to make things happen. Nothing's happening. Imagine you're a team, no creativity, no one's even capable. He starts doing hoofball, trying to make things happen, and sometimes it doesn't work. But who's going to do that anyways? Who's going to even try? So yeah,
Yeah, I saw that
all blame off him.
I saw that infographic, and it was just like constant greens, and it was like if you didn't have him, you'd literally be like in a proper dogfight.
Where would we be? I'd be scared to. Yeah.
Suppose moving on from a late draw to Arsenal's title hopes going up in smoke at home to West Ham. Elliot, take it away.
Yes, thank you very much for that intro, Daniel. To be fair, Amir, I think you can comment on this a little bit as well because you were at the game, weren't you? But firstly, let me get my piece out before you do. Um, yeah, weird game. I watched that throughout, and it was a very odd kind of thing to watch. Really, it seems to be the case that, well, to be fair, I didn't expect anything less from West Ham. I knew they were going to play about 17 players behind the ball anyway to try and stop us from scoring. But then you could put probably two players behind the ball and stop us scoring. But it seems to be no one can have a good shot on target from our team for some reason. It seems everyone's quite scared to kind of have a shot from 25 yards out. Everyone wants to kind of walk it into the goal, and it's just not happening for us. I mean, it's quite hard to take a shot when you've got, as I say, five players in front of you, and you're like, oh, where do I go from here? You have to keep passing it around. But eventually you've got to kind of bite the bullet and go, do you know what? Why not? Let's just try and chance it because it's the only way through. And then obviously once you get a goal back, and then you think then they're going to try and go on the attack, and then that's when you press on through. But in my opinion, I think it was nice. I think the positive to take away from that game was the nice to see Ben White make a return. Hopefully he can continue to make appearances going forward now because he's a great influence on that team. Um, I genuinely think Odegaard isn't the same player he was before after the injury. He seems to be lacking. I don't know what, but he seems to be lacking something. Um, our up front three, as I say, is very limited, and I'm not sure what's going on with Waneri. It's quite scary to see if he was walking off a little bit injured. One of the commentators was scaring us, saying he could be going off injured, which is a bit 50-50, but hopefully it's nothing too serious. Um, because otherwise that we're screwed. Other than that, then we just literally got the bare essentials. I feel bad, obviously, because then I feel like a lot of Arsenal fans are targeting Marino. I think I generally feel bad for him because it's like sticking like a complete. You're sticking you in a complete different job role. You have to kind of make do. You don't know what you're doing half the time. You think, well, I'm just going to try and revert back to the role I do know what to do because I'm comfortable there. So that's why he's probably not performing as good as everyone hopes he wants. Everyone wants him to be. But other than that, it's just a poor performance
What do you think about the
from
red
us.
card as well? Obviously,
It's a
Lewis
red
Kelly.
card. It's a red card. Stupid from him. I think he seems to be trying to get maybe a little bit too overconfident with the ball and try and maybe like be a little bit more blasé with it, and then it kind of bit him in the arse. And then Kudos had man of the match performance against us, I think. Um, Came through, stole the ball, and the only thing I think Miles Skelly could have done was take him out, and he did. So, I think every Arsenal fan knows that was a red card. Anyone who isn't is quite stupid and generally doesn't know the laws of football. But anyway, um, from my point of view, it doesn't excuse the fact of that poor performance from Arsenal. I generally think like a captain like Odegaard should be bringing up the morale of the team and saying, "Come on, let's fight for this." There was nothing from him. The midfield, Declan Rice got brought off. I think what was it like the 60th minute? I think he was quite a good player for us. I don't know why he got brought off. Partey too slow on the ball again. The back four just quite like robotic. Nothing there. Um, yeah, look, as I say, it's quite a rough situation for us to be in at the moment. It's quite unfortunate to see that we got rid of the likes of three attackers as like, maybe like less quality as you would think they are back then. You'd snatch your armour from them now. Like you got the likes of Nketiah, Reece Nelson, Emil Smith Rowe. Like you'd probably chew your arm off for these sort of players right now because they're just an attacking option. But we got rid of three players like that and we didn't get anyone in. I'm not too sure as to the reason why we didn't get someone else on. Even if we did a Man United, we get like an old, experienced kind of 30-year-old striker who knows what he's doing just for the rest of the season would be an absolute great shout. Just so we can have some cover, but no, for some reason we decided to pinch our pockets a little bit and decide not to branch out, and it's biting us in the arse. Look, I'm not going to give kudos to West Ham because I think they played pretty terrible as well. They were just playing boring football. Um, in my opinion, I just think they were just basically waiting for us to make a mistake, clear up, and then knock it down the line and hope for Kudos or Bowen to get it, and which they did. They gave it to. Luckily, Wan-Bissaka was chewing it down the line. We were sloppy, and it went straight to Bowen and scored, and that was it. That was the only chance I think they basically had, other than maybe a couple Kudos chances. That's it. But yeah, that's what I had to say. Poor from us. It's scary going into the Champions League against PSV was it, start of April with the likes of this. I'm hoping Saka returns ASAP.
Um, I guess it's my turn. The funniest football club in history, I'd say. Any opportunity to even go close to winning the league, they don't want it. Like, I think at this point, Arsenal will never ever win the league again. The little bit of hope that Everton gave them coming back to 2-2, and all they had to do was beat a very, very, very poor West Ham side who's in a transition stage, and they absolutely bottled it. From the board or whoever was responsible for not even getting in a 50-year-old striker or any attacker,
Hmm.
knowing I want to know who was it, or was there a reason? Is it the financial fair play? Is it they didn't feel like they need it or what? But just whoever was responsible for not even going for a striker needs to be sacked. Um, Bang average players, I think. Odegaard's been absolutely poor, as Elliot said. Calafiori wasn't great. I know if Rice was injured or he came off because he couldn't take a few boos, like it was a bit emotional for him, but still no
Strange sub.
excuse.
Yeah.
And I think, how dare you say West Ham didn't deserve to win? Because I thought
No, I didn't say they
the
didn't
game
deserve to
plan
win. I just said
was
they weren't a
was
good team either.
because that game plan was action to perfection. They didn't allow many or any proper chances from you guys, any shots on target, and countered and scored and won 1-0 and defended. So I
Boring.
think Graham Potter, yeah, it might be boring, but you would take boring 1-0 wins,
I don't know.
then pretty football.
Spineless.
You would, Elliot. You would be gassed if you won 1-0 like that and you were
Not really.
a bit closer. There's no point lying now, is there? You
It's
you
not.
would be you
Stupid
would be
football like
gassed
that.
one
I
nil
just,
up,
what's the
and
point?
then you'll be closer to winning the league. But unfortunately, you're not. So I think Arteta, you need to. How many more years can you give him, really? To be honest, is the next question. How much
I
longer
don't
can
think
you
it's his
take
fault.
this
I
team?
generally don't think it's his fault. I think he's reaching
I
out to
thought the
the board
subs
and
weren't
trying to get
great
his
either. I
transfers
don't
as
think the
best as
subs were
possible.
great. It's like
Yeah,
wing
but
back
what
to
can you
wing
do with
back.
a team like this? There's not much you
You bring
can do.
Sterling
Like,
on quicker. Sterling might not be good enough, but you bring him on quicker. You put him
I
in
don't
the.
know. I don't know.
Do you know what I mean? You don't bring Ben White for Calafiori. Like, what kind of a difference is that going to make? I know he's got
I thought
barely
Ben White was
anything
pretty
on
good when he came on.
barely anything on the bench, but it's like for like, isn't it? Bring Sterling on earlier, go for it, and I guess maybe the red card didn't help, but at the same time, like, what can you do? Lewis Skelly comes on for who did he come on for? Was it Timber or who was it? Who did he come on for?
Calafiori. He came in for Calafiori.
Calafiori, sorry, and then Ben White comes on. It's just like wing back after wing back, and then Sterling's one of the last to come on. I know you guys don't like Sterling, but an attacker's
I
an
didn't say
attacker.
that.
Well, most of your fan base don't like it, and I just think that side of it, that man management, you need to look at Arteta. But I don't know, man. I don't feel like if it, to me it's for you guys. If it wasn't this year, when is it going to be? To be honest, because as everyone says, Liverpool aren't Man City. There are flaws to them, and you did take advantage of it. To be honest with you, it's just a shame for you guys, like, not for anyone else.
I
But
do think at 11 points it is over now, unless something
yeah,
goes like
especially against City,
catastrophically
yeah.
wrong.
Even
I
then,
do
though,
think
Dan,
it's over
do you
now.
trust Arsenal to come back? And if they get a little bit of hope to take it, a little bit of a chance to take
Our
it,
little bit of hope was against Manchester City on the weekend, and it went down up in flames.
no,
The
you're
That's
fact that they just beat City is just they're not going to lose,
City.
are they?
Yeah.
not even that hope, but they might have done their bit, Liverpool, but you didn't do your bit against West Ham.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like
I think most
you
Arsenal
can't
fans
always
have written it
rely.
off. We've kind of just gone pathetic performance. I can reach back to a 2-year-old video and literally say the exact same thing, rinse
I
and
think
repeat. I
Yeah, if you
remember
can say
actually. I
the
remember
same
it was
thing,
the Newcastle game that we lost 2-0 against, and I went spineless performance, and the same again, spineless
but it's the
performance.
same
so
thing
if it,
last year. You drop points at Fulham, you drop points at Newcastle, you drop points
Villa,
against West Ham, you've dropped points against
But what
City.
is going on? I don't know. I want to
It's
know.
the
I want to
same.
know what the problem is when we get to this
but
part of
if
the season, and then we decide, ooh, bit scary.
what's the one common denominator of that?
You're gonna say
The
Arteta, aren't you?
ownership, the board.
No, what is it? The
It's gonna
board
say
have done a
Arteta.
bad job up
And
until
team
this
are out.
season. Uh, Up until this season, I think the board had been pretty good at Arsenal in terms of buying like Declan Rice and all these other players. But what is the one common denominator? The manager. And
No.
unless you're just happier with being second and going for top four, because it's basically like the Wenger days. He did it without a budget, but this time he's doing it with a budget. Then
Yeah.
you need to try and
Do
look
what though?
elsewhere to
Look
try and
elsewhere. But then
get over
what?
that
Then we
hiccup.
completely changed the acumen of Arsenal because in the past
What is
6
the
years.
acumen of Arsenal then? Because the
You
last
tell
5 years
well
have been
whatever
finished
Arteta
in
wants it
second,
to
isn't
be,
it?
but he's got that level of respect from the players that
How's
he's
got that
obviously
level
built
of
up since 2018, since he's been here. So then automatically just to say, yeah, no, not anymore, for some.
Mate, do you not think that like if he had been backed a bit more with the most obvious thing for me was like sometimes it's annoying because if the board does what they're supposed to do then at least then that manager can be easily
But how
blamed
do you know he
when things
wasn't
don't
more
go.
involved in
But
the
they didn't get a
transfers?
striker. The
How
striker
do
is
you
a
know he
big thing.
wasn't more involved in the transfers? Because Edu left, and apparently I was reading Edu left because they wanted to give Arteta more control over transfers. So what if it
No, but
was
how
Arteta?
can't Arsenal attract a world-class striker
They
after
can
everything
though.
Arteta's done to get
Why
them
can
to this point?
Galatasaray attract Osimhen on a loan and Arsenal can't buy him for 60, 70 million? Or even on a
I
loan?
just I just think if they'd even got that one striker in now and like no, sorry, not even now, in January or in the summer, then you could say, well, Arteta's got everything he needed.
Yeah, but
But he's not got
how many
everything.
more times though are you going to be
Do you
like, should
think,
I
okay, I'll
striker?
ask you this. Do you think another manager could have won in the league this season if they'd changed the manager? With this squad, not striker.
Yeah, if we had Arnie Slot, for example, then,
There's no,
or if we had
well,
Pep
I think
Guardiola, or if
so.
we
you
had
know
Yeah, I
why
think
Arnie
so.
Slot doesn't get
Carney.
praised more than he
I
does? It's
think
because he's
so.
got Salah right now in the form he does. Not many managers get
Yeah,
a
but
player like
Chavez,
that.
at the same time, you say the manager can win it this year, but what about last season when they did have a full squad, or the season before when they were like
I tell you
11
what, mate,
points,
I'll ask you a question. How about this?
10 points clear? Then what? Is it the striker thing? Because the striker thing's this season, yeah, but 2 years ago it was in their hands,
Who is your
and they
striker? I can't even remember. Who's your striker?
Nicholas Jackson.
No, what? No,
Oh,
your
Oz.
striker.
I thought you were talking to Amir.
No, yours.
Oh, Oz.
It's,
Havertz.
it's Havertz,
Jesus.
Jesus.
yeah,
Is that good
but
enough to
that's
win a Premier
60,
League?
70 million on
He's
Havertz.
good. I
That
think he's pretty
probably
good. Yeah.
Not
that
as a
No, but not to
striker.
win a
70.
Premier
He's got
League.
9 goals, I think, this
Not to
season.
win a
Something
Premier
like that.
Sorry,
League.
guys, but that 70 odd million that was spent on Kai Havertz, that must have been someone that Arteta wanted. And you think that is much better than getting a
Okay,
good
Amir, how
striker
about
in?
this then? In your opinion, if let's say for example the Arsenal doesn't do well this season again and everything like that, but out of a percentage, what would you say the percentage is blamed on Arteta compared to the team?
Yeah, but the team is run by Arteta.
No, answer the question. So what's the percentage? Like you, so basically so you could have Pep Guardiola in his prime managing his team, but if the team doesn't turn up, there's nothing he can do. But what
Yeah, but why?
percentage of
But
what percentage of it is the manager's fault? Would
I
you
think
say?
you're asking the wrong question. If you're doing board to manager, that would be
No,
fair. But
I'm asking the correct question. I'm asking you what percentage you think it is the manager's fault that a team goes
well,
wrong.
the manager over the players, because the manager has control over the players he picks, the
Fine,
system he picks.
But he also
The
fine.
can't help
morale, as you say,
Lewis
you
Skelly
blame
getting
the
sent
morale
off.
every other
Yeah,
week.
he can't
Huh?
exactly. Like there's stuff on the pitch that happens sometimes, like morale
Yeah,
goes down, or
injuries,
someone
fair
gets a red
enough.
card, or
Guys get injuries or
someone
red
get
cards,
kicked off.
fair enough.
Stuff
Probably.
happens.
But what about last year or the year before then? Because
I'm not
last
saying he's untouchable. I'm saying there are
I'm saying
times
this
where
year,
he is a bit questionable, but I'm saying it's not all the time it's his fault. You
no,
can lead a horse to water, but in this time you can't.
compared to this season compared to last couple years, you can blame less on Arteta due to injuries because they're out of his hands. You're right, but at the same time, you're not playing Man City either. It's Liverpool. It's not
No.
the
Do you know what I
super
say?
super
One
team.
one counter argument, Amir. The main competitor Arteta's had over these years that's prevented him from winning the league is Pep, right? And it's Man
Mm.
City. This one season when I think Pep spent a lot of money, especially in January. He's got a lot of players in compared to Arsenal, and yet Arsenal are against like above them by a bit. It's an unprecedented season for Liverpool now. It's like when Klopp came. People say, "Oh, Klopp did have a great time, but only won like one Prem, didn't he?" And it's because at the time we saw like a ridiculous Man City team. They got 100 points. They repeated like 4 times,
Mm.
whatever. It's like, it's not necessarily because if you're getting your points, 80 plus average each season, then I mean, you've got to look elsewhere and think actually other teams are doing as well. But you wouldn't sack a
Mm.
manager for doing eight.
It's not telling me to
Do you know
sack him,
the
but
position you
like.
put yourself in, sacking a manager? The next one has to come in and get what, 90 points and win the league then? Because
Mm.
that's the next
Yeah, but
step. That's it
why,
now.
why can't the next manager do that? Why can't they get someone who's above
You're
Arteta
expecting
level?
perfection
Mate, I think
from
you've
a
Perfection,
football
got it
club
wrong. I
that
think
just wants a little bit of hope.
perfection
Arteta's
is
got
fine. L, would you in the next 10 years, let's say we get to 2030 and you constantly finish second, and it's like the repeat every single
Yeah.
season, you would be happy?
No, I would not.
Then what would you change then to get that? Is it the players every time? Because there's always the players' morale, that's the issue. But then
It's a mixture of
their
both, but
morale
then
is
you've got to stick
controlled
by
by the
your manager.
manager.
If he's done better for you in the past, say 10 years than you had
Okay,
than any
then
other manager for us, you give him
counterpoint. How long would you give it before you
a
say
couple
enough
more
is
years,
enough?
2 more years.
So in 2 more years' time, if Arteta
If
still
we're still in this same boat,
consistently
yes, correct.
second, or even third, because you might even go down, because
Yes,
you never know.
correct.
These players might want to win leagues, and
Yes,
then to leave
there's your
to Real
fucking
Madrid.
timeline, your weapon. Two
Okay.
years.
So guys, in 2 years' time, 2027,
Yeah.
this point in the season when we're all like married and have kids and all that stuff, Elliot,
All right.
we'll come back to this and we'll review Elliot's.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah,
No,
and
what
if
you're
yeah,
saying, I don't think what you're saying has ever happened in the English league history. I don't know, Dan can correct me,
What?
but has a manager ever been reprimanded for getting 80 plus points each season and coming second?
Yeah, but it's
I
never
think
been
that
that
is so
When that
competitive,
rare.
has
happens,
it? It's
when it's
never
in
been that
that happens, yeah.
competitive.
Hmm?
It's never been that competitive. So
Yeah, but no manager is doing that 3 seasons in a row anyways. You're not going to find a manager like that.
Klopp
So
basically
you
did it.
really got to like be sure about who you get next if you're doing the second name.
I
that's
think
what I'm saying. This is what
because
I'm saying at the moment. This is why I'm sticking by him because he's done more for us than any other manager has done in the past 10 years. Why not stick by someone like that?
Okay, stick by him then, and let's see if you end up winning the league. I mean, for your sake, for your mental health, not because I like Arsenal. For your sake, I hope you do win
But
something.
the bar has gone so
That's not a plate, but
crazily high because we had one like a couple good seasons. Like everyone
yeah,
was
but
saying, "Oh,
that's
you
what
might get top
happens.
four, you might get
Yeah, but
top
that's
four."
what happens. So you don't want to be up
No, that's
against that
fine. I'm
standard all the
saying,
time.
but then when I get hopeful and say, "Yeah, we could win the league," you're like saying, "Oh, you're being delusional."
I never say you're being delusional. When
Yes,
did
you
I
No,
do.
ever say
If
that?
you
leave it to next week. You're just going
yeah,
to it's got Chelsea
you
first
get
week.
right. I think onto a team that did do brilliant winter business. Aston Villa coming from behind. Rashford and Asensio combining for both goals. Take it away, me.
We
Enzo.
need a new keeper in the club. Done.
Is that it for Chelsea? Sign a
Cole
keeper.
Palmer bottled it. We need new keepers at the club. I don't know any of these 11 keepers aren't good enough. The best keeper we have in the club is at Strasbourg, and Nkunku should not ever play for Chelsea. He should leave because his mind's already set on Bayern Munich from
Enzo in or out?
January. And Enzo in
Okay,
which Enzo doing?
both.
both.
Did Enzo score the other one?
Yeah, he did.
What did you think of Rashford and Asensio?
Asensio is very good. I mean, he was really good at Real Madrid, wasn't he? So I'm not sure why it didn't work out for him
Hmm.
like that. But you can tell these players that play for like Real Madrid and stuff. Like, do you remember James Rodriguez when he came down to Everton's level? He was unplayable, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? These players they're too good for that level, but you can see their class why they are playing for the big teams or why they did play for the big teams at one point. But
I think at the minute, with respect to Villa, obviously, like they are pushing as well. I mean, they're a Champions League club as it stands. It might have been next year, but obviously, as it stands,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, top side, aren't they?
yeah. I think I'm, I'm
Great
just
manager they have.
I'm
Maybe you should
I'm
start looking at their manager.
I'm just gonna take a moment before we finish, just to say Luton Town are still rock bottom of the Championship after we beat them 2-0. I thought I'd weigh in just before we finish.
Where are
Have
you?
that. We're
Top
ninth.
six?
We're ninth. 3 points
How
off.
how far?
3 points off playoffs. I
What do
don't
we
think
think of Luton, Dan?
I can't say it on the podcast. But
Yeah, you can.
nah.
What are you
PG over
PG
here. But
13?
yeah, PG over here. But
You guys want to be demonetized.
enjoy Walsall away next year, lads. I really hope you enjoy it. That's that's it from me.
Everywhere they
I think
go,
that wraps us up for this week.
everywhere
Obviously,
they go.
Well, before we do end it very quickly, Elliot, Arteta on or out.
In
There we go. Had to get it in.
SYM.
thank you very much for watching, and until next week, goodbye.